Hi everybody, my name is Laura Clark and I'm going to be sharing with you an evidence-based strategy that you can use to support appropriate behaviors in your classroom. The evidence-based practice that we're focusing on in this presentation is entitled Instructional Choice. If you'd like to download a copy of the slides, please follow the bit.ly link at the bottom of this slide. So throughout this series, we're focusing on those effective and efficient low-intensity strategies that we can use in our classroom every day to support student success. They don't take a lot of supplies. We don't have to gather 15,000 years of schooling, but rather they are pretty simple to implement if we follow the steps. The strategies that we're focusing on all came from this issue of Beyond Behavior, which is part of the Council for Exceptional Children's Behavior Group called CCBD. If you haven't learned about CEC or CCBD before, I'd encourage you to check out their website. It is linked at the bottom of this slide and is a fantastic resource for those of us that support students with some behavioral challenges. This entire issue of Beyond Behavior has some excellent strategies. They're all low intensity, effective, and efficient strategies that we can use, and all of them have research behind them that say they are effective for supporting students with disabilities. When you are looking, though, at implementing any evidence-based practice in your classroom, keep in mind the focus area of where the research was completed. So if all of the research behind an evidence-based practice was done in an elementary or Head Start situation and you are in a high school setting, then you need to be very careful when you're implementing that strategy that it was actually meant for students from your population. So when we're looking at what does it mean to offer instructional choice, we're looking at an antecedent-based strategy or something that happens before the behavior. And it means in essence that we're changing the instructional conditions, hoping to decrease or reduce the amount of times a challenging behavior might occur. So we're looking across activities and we're looking within activities to say, what can we do that will make a difference for this student to increase the likelihood that they will complete a task or engage in a behavior that we'd like them to engage in. So the first thing you want to start thinking about is where you can offer choices. What types of activities within your day or what times of day do you have an instructional activity happening where you could offer a choice? So for example, if I need to teach the CH sound to my students, there is going to be a time when I just need to provide explicit instructions and students need to listen and engage with me. So that might not be a place where I can offer instructional choices. But I could offer instructional choices in the types of activities a student is going to engage in to practice the CH sound. So I've got here an example of a choice board that I might use to give students those instructional choices based on how they could practice their spelling words. And that's just one way in which you could organize those choices. I can look at offering different types of products. So whether a student writes a paper, gives an oral presentation, creates a video, those are all some ways I can differentiate the product. Maybe I can mix up how students are going to complete the task. So for example, which activity do you want to do first? Or which activity center would you like to complete this activity in? I can create a variety of choices there across those activities. I can also, within an activity, differentiate the kinds of materials students use. So, crayons or markers, pencil or pen, working on paper or working on a computer. I can also offer them some choices within a task. So maybe I can say, do the odd or even problems. Choose 3 out of 5 problems. Work by yourself or with a partner. Finish it in class or while you are doing another task. So after I know what kind of choices I can offer students, then I'm going to develop a choice menu similar to the one that I showed you in the slide before. And those choices that I'm offering are based upon what I know will work over time. It's really nice if I can develop a choice menu that can be used multiple times as opposed to for a single activity. So, maybe within our language arts class, we know that we're going to be reading several short stories each month. And so I can offer different choices for how students engage with those short stories rather than developing a choice menu for short story one and then feeling like, wow, now I need to go back to the drawing board and create a new choice menu. And not that it's bad for us to do that work, but for students, it's often best practice to build those instructional routines where students know the expectations and can expect that you are going to continue to engage in a similar fashion. So if they know that for every story that they read, there's going to be a choice menu associated with the tasks, then that increases students' ability to be successful. When we're looking at the choices we're going to offer, it's often wise to think about that universal design for learning lens and look at making tasks accessible for all learners, knowing that when I do that, that I will automatically support students with disabilities. So, for example, offering students between the choice of a written work and an oral report, or doing something with words or pictures, or using technology, keeps in mind that UDL lens. Once we build some choice into the lesson, we want to think about if those can be established choices over time. So the example in the prior slide was about a language arts lesson and a series of novels, but the same can be true in math content or science and social studies content, where I know that there are going to be similar activities based on the curriculum that we've chosen or how our grade level has chosen to teach a specific set of standards, and that I can give those established choices for students over time. When I'm teaching those choices, I want to make sure that I'm following all the methodology of best practices in teaching. So I'm going to provide explicit instruction and modeling of how students are going to be successful using that choice board. When I look at some options for within task choices, so everybody has to complete a set of math problems, but within those math problems that everyone has to complete, maybe for every 2 problems you complete, you can cross one out. Maybe the student's choice is you can use a different color pen, or maybe students can choose if they want to start at the top or the middle of a page. And maybe they're just going to do odds or evens. Maybe they're going to solve any 3 problems they want within a page, and if those problems are solved correctly, then they can skip the rest of them. Maybe the choice is choose book A or book B, or how I'm working. I'm working at my desk, or I could sit on the floor, or I could work at the quiet library space. Maybe the choices about reading are read to yourself, read to a partner, read the story out loud in technology so that someone else can listen to it later. When we're looking at across tasks and what kind of choices we might offer students, then I might choose to always let students decide if they want to create a video or a poster or a presentation to demonstrate what they've learned, or they might get to choose which task within the day's work that they're going to finish first. Students might have a choice between a series of activities to decide which one they're going to complete. So for example, within the course of this week, you will need to complete some vocabulary work, some spelling work, and write some sentences. Which one do you want to do today? When we're asking students to make a choice, we want to avoid making it seem to students like there was a right choice or the smart students always choose this choice, right? But we're going to make statements that let students know that whatever choice they make, that was a great choice for the day. So I'm not going to say things like, I'm so glad you picked that one, like, that was the right answer, but rather, you chose the vocabulary to do first. Can't wait to see your work. We want to make sure that we give students an adequate amount of wait time for them to select their work, and also to respect a student's ability to change their mind. Sometimes we'll say things like, you chose an oral presentation and now you've got to stick with it. But rather, I would let students know the assignment is due on Wednesday. If you think that you can write a paper now instead of the oral presentation you originally planned, you can absolutely do that. Just remember the assignment is due on Wednesday. So you have an expectation for when something is completed, but you're going to give students the option to say if they need to change or decide something different, that they have the power and ability to do that. Just like as adults, I can change the style in which I'm doing something. It might mean that I need to do it at home after work hours, but I could still make that choice, and we give students that same power. We also want to take some time to check out the students' responses. So make sure we're analyzing the data, looking to see, is instructional choice making a difference for this student? Is it increasing the likelihood that they will engage in the task or complete a task, that they will do it without throwing a tantrum or being very upset or throwing a desk across the room? Is instructional choice making a difference? If a student does not make a choice, I've offered you 6 things to do and the student hasn't chosen one, then I might want to consider, do I need to offer less variety in the choices? Do I need to add some picture supports or are some accommodations needed before the student feels like they can successfully make a choice? Once a student makes a choice, then I want to honor that choice and honor that student for making a choice, and then provide them with any supports they need to be successful. As I'm letting students know that I appreciate their work, I want to keep in mind what that student needs and prefers. Some of our students love private praise, and other students really like you to make a big deal about it in front of everyone. I also want to make sure that my praise is very specific, that I'm really letting students know why they're being praised, and that we're encouraging that behavior to happen over and over again in time. We also want to take some time to ask the students what they think about the instructional choices they were given and to check with other adults. The key to any lesson is always going to be the learning target. Are students able to demonstrate their mastery of the learning target? So as educators, it shouldn't matter to us always the way students choose to demonstrate that mastery, as long as they're able to show us that they know. And instructional choice is a great way for us to get at the heart of that concept. The goal is for students to master the learning targets, which are based on the standards. To complete this training, if you are listening to this video as part of our NKCES summer series, please go back to your email and follow the directions and the links that are contained there. Don't forget to complete the quiz. That's how we generate your certificate for completing the training. And as always, if you've got questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me by email. We've got lots of other great trainings we'd love for you to join with us on. And please check out our NKCES website to learn more. Happy learning!